So what is the difference between vibrato and tremolo? If you don't know, it's not your fault. They actually were screwed up quite a bit, especially in the 60s. There were guitar amplifiers that were called vibro champs and vibra this and vibrato that. And really they were tremolo. And then when they finally came up with a device that really did vibrato, they called it a tremolo arm. So we're going to define it here for you, and I'm going to show it to you on guitar as well as on synthesizer, because there's two different ways of getting to that vibrato and tremolo sound. So for the guitar portion, I'm using the Fender American Ultra Stratocaster, beautiful guitar. And then for the pedals, I have the Electro-Harmonix Super Pulsar. I chose this one because, one, it has lots of really great features. It has a visual thing we can watch, but it also does a really great mono and stereo tremolo, and it lets you blend between them. So I thought that'd be fun to show you. Then we have the Walrus Julianna Vibrato Chorus. One, because it does vibrato and it's true stereo in, true stereo out. And then finally, we're going into the Walrus ACS1. That's the Walrus Audio Amp and Cabinet Simulator, because we're not using any amps here, so that is going directly to the camera. So I'm going to start by showing you vibrato and then tremolo and the two of them together on the pedals. And then when we go to the synth, I'll get even deeper in how all of that works. But right now, I just want you to hear it. Don't worry about the math or anything else, right? So I'm not a guitar player, but I'll play one on TV here for you. So first, the dry sound. And now I'm going to engage just the vibrato, and this will be the pitch of the guitar going up and down. And if you're a little confused, am I hearing pitch, or is that volume, or is that panning, or is that phase? It's not always easy to hear exactly what's moving, other than you can hear that it is moving. But I promise you, in that case, it was the pitch. And the way that I'll prove it is I'm going to make the depth ridiculous now, and you're really going to hear the pitch moving. So once again with it off, and now with a lot of vibrato. Clearly, you're hearing the pitch go up and down on that. And like most vibrato pedals, you have control over the depth and the rate. There's some other really cool controls as well, but we'll just start with the rate. And so now I'll show you depth. I'll keep the rate somewhere in the middle, and I'll start with the depth at nothing and then slowly increase it. And on this one, it's pretty cool that they also give you a parameter called lag, which is really delay. And by increasing the delay just milliseconds, all of a sudden the depth and the rate start becoming more obvious. And so I'll start with no lag. And I told you I'd tell you the difference between vibrato and tremolo, but I'm going to just throw this in there. If you have a vibrato pedal that also mixes the dry signal in, that's what chorus is. So this is just vibrato only. And now if I turn the knob, you're going to hear me mix chorus into that, and all of a sudden the whole thing becomes very stereo. Again, dry. Okay, so I think you got vibrato now. Now we'll do tremolo. So where vibrato is frequency modulation, or FM, or as I like to say, wiggling the pitch, tremolo is AM, or amplitude modulation, or wiggling the volume. So here it is dry, and now I'm going to be pulsing the volume. And to your ears, again, it might sound like the pitch is changing. It might sound like other effects are changing, but I promise you, it's only the amplitude that's getting louder and soft. And like the other thing, I can change the rate and the depth. I'll do that here. And on this one, you can even change the shape of the modulator. So instead of a nice, pretty back and forth triangle, I could do a very harsh square wave. Or I could do a sine wave. But where that stuff starts really becoming interesting is when you do a stereo tremolo. That's where it's a tremolo on both sides, but one side is backwards from the other. So now instead of a very mono signal, it's going to become very stereo. Okay, now just for fun, I'll do both. I'm going to turn the vibrato on and I'll turn the tremolo on. I'll have both of them in stereo and this should sound really pretty. So now I'm going to use the ASM Hydrasynth Explorer, mostly because it just fits on the desktop and it sounds really great. And the screen makes it really easy to show you what I'm talking about. First, we're going to do vibrato. And I'm not going to use the vibrato effect, although there are effects in here that will do that. I'm really going to build it with synthesis. And so now I'm going to do an initialization, makes it a very plain patch. And I've got a sawtooth wave there. And I'm going to go to an LFO. And I'm going to set it to a triangle. It's currently at 1 hertz or back and forth once a time a second. And I'm now going to assign that LFO to wiggle oscillator 1. So I go into the mod matrix and I set my assignment to LFO 1. And then I set my oscillator 1 as the destination and then the pitch of oscillator 1. And so now if I press it, because it's at 0, it should do nothing. But as I turn it up, we're going to get more FM or vibrato or wiggling the pitch. So I can control the depth, but I can also control the rate. Very Pac-Man. And again, I can take this rate very, very fast. I'm going to keep it in vocal vibrato range. And now I'm going to look at the level and watch. I can bring the level up or down. And very often that's how they do a mod wheel vibrato. They have mod wheels sending how much LFO is going to modulate the oscillator, and then you hear that frequency modulation. Okay, so now I'm going to do tremolo or amplitude modulation or volume modulation, or like I say, wiggling the volume. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to take LFO2 and we're going to send it to the amp. It's already wired for us, so I just have to go to the knob and turn it. So here is a vibrato, except it's on volume instead of pitch, and so we call it tremolo. And I can change the speed. And I can have vibrato and tremolo going at the same time. I just assign both in the ways that I showed you. So I'm going to take LFO1, again, go back to pitch and set that up. And so now I have both going at the same time. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea between vibrato, tremolo, and a little bit about chorus, and how they relate to guitar pedals as well as synthesizer parameters. If you have any further questions about the Walrus audio pedals, the Electro-Harmonix pedals, or the ASM Hydrasynth Explorer, please contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. My name is Daniel Fisher. Thank you very much for watching.